live stream. Unique Lamia here. So this morning we are going to start with some LSAT studying. So before that, I'm just going to put a quick coat of clear polish on since my nails have no polish. Today, washing my clothes, LSAT studying as I said, and then go to the gym. Then I have to wash my hair. If you are watching the recording, hopefully you guys have an amazing day today. You are a returning supporter. Thank you so much for your continued support. If you are a new supporter here, welcome to the channel. You can expect live streams, grad school videos, eat with me, travel videos, a lot more. I essentially show you guys my life, and thank you for your support. My nails is growing, but it's growing a lot slower than it normally does just because I haven't really been putting a lot of everything on it that I normally put to make it grow. So we're gonna get started, guys. Welcome, good morning, Stew Lover Kitchen. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome, King of the Weather, to the live stream. How are you guys doing this morning? Glad you can tune in. I have internet, so I can do some drills today, which is good. So I'm going to start with the parallel reasoning, which I was doing that previously. And then I'm going to go to the assumption questions. Glad you're doing good today, King of the Weather. I'm just going to put this on. There's no polish, so before I start, I'm gonna make sure my nails have at least clear so it doesn't break. I'm looking, there's a live class at 10 a.m. for the assumption questions, which is what I wanted to practice today. So I think I'm going to join that class today. Sometimes I just like joining the live classes, even though like sometimes I find them helpful, sometimes I don't. But I just go sometimes because the person teaching the class, they may say something that could be helpful in my notes. So I like to go sometimes for that. All right, guys, we are done. We can get started with the study. And I just wanted to put regular clear polish on before my nails break. So welcome everybody to the live stream. Good morning. Hopefully you guys are going to have a great day today. Welcome back if you are a returning subscriber. Welcome if you are new. Good morning, Cademan. How are you doing? If you are a returning supporter, thank you so much for your continued support. And if you are a new viewer here, hi, I'm Unique Lamia, a dual degree graduate student studying public administration and criminal justice. And in this video, I will be studying for the LSAT. So I did say I'm going to go. I just saw they have like a live class at 10 a.m. from 10:30. From 10 a.m. to 11:30. So I can go there because I'd like to go to the gym like around 12. So I'll go to the sufficient and necessary assumption live class. But before then, I will be doing some drills. Drills are generally just like practice problems. So I'm going to go over there. I'm going to start with the parallel reasoning practice problems. I've been doing parallel for the past 3 weeks on the weekends. I've been studying parallel reasoning, so we're going to go through that now. And then after that, I'm going to go back to the necessary / sufficient assumption questions. Like on the test, there's the reading comprehension, but there's 2 logic reasoning sections. So I'm trying to focus heavily on studying the logic reasoning since that is makes up the most on the exam. Good morning, Cats and Pokemon. Glad you can tune in. Good morning, Charlotte. Glad you enjoy the content. How are you doing this morning? So remember to like the video and consider subscribing to the channel. On this channel, you are welcome for your uniqueness. All opinion, people, and ideas are welcome. as long as we communicate to each other in a kind, respectful way. So guys, remember, keep your comments coming, but I'm going to be studying, because on this channel I like to show you guys my life, and part of that life is studying. So it's gonna be quiet for a little bit, but when I take breaks, I'll definitely respond to your comments, guys. All right, so let us get into it. Oh, wait, before I can't weather said your iPod's on 3%. Hopefully you charge it. You don't want your iPod dying. Hello, Danny. Welcome to the live stream. So let's get started, guys. Okay, so now we're going to go into blind review. That's basically after you answer the question. I already answered the question, so my answers are in. So now I'm going to re-look at the question, and if I want to change my answer, I'll do that. And then they said that's supposed to help you with, like, your thinking. So, like, if I second guessed myself, I generally in blind review choose the answer that I thought it was. So that generally shows me, okay, try not to second guess yourself. Not a good method, but I don't know. It depends if your opinion. But welcome, welcome. Good morning, Aiden. Welcome. Camp Weather said, guess what? I'm under flood watch and a wind advisory. Well, as long as your house doesn't flood, just stay inside King of the Weather and you will be good. And go to the top floor. Hey, Aiden. TV said, the blood. Okay. All right, my cat, the baby one, is playing with me. That's cool. An avalanche warning is in parts of Montana. Okay, let me go into blind review. So I'm going to reread all the questions, see if I want to change my answer before I finally see my score. If you are a returning supporter, thank you so much for your continued support. If you are a new viewer here, hi, I'm Unique Lamia. Feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Right now, I am doing some LSAT studying prep, so it is a little quiet because, as I always say, I don't want to be doing this for the whole entire day, and I'm just trying to show you that, hey, when I can, I do like to share, like, elements of my schoolwork too. I'm going to transition to some videos though in a minute as well, but I just like to start off with drills sometimes. So let's get into it. The argument's reasoning is flawed because it overlooks possibility that if you know a lot about history, it will be easy for you to impress people who are intellectuals, but unfortunately you will not know much about history. You will not, for example, read a large number of books. Yeah, I'm not talking, so I know you can't hear me. The reasoning and the argument above is which one of the following. After examining the options, the budget committee is suffered that QI's office. Okay, the argument of after examining the options, the budget committee discovered that QI's office Now I'm going to do the sufficient and necessary assumption drill questions. Let's see. Welcome, Flowers. Welcome, Danny. Welcome, Linda. Glad you can tune in. Yes, you haven't been on the live stream for a while. How are you doing today? Glad you can tune in. Good morning, Donnie. Glad you could tune in. Oh, my other hairstyle was my real hair too, Donnie. This is just my hair and its natural texture. But yeah, both hairstyles are my real hair, but glad you like this hairstyle, but this isn't. I'm just gonna have to wash it today, so I have to braid it up. But yeah, right now I'm doing some practice problems going through it. So yeah, as long as hair is attached to my head, guys, it is my real hair. So let us get into it. So I have just been doing my schoolwork lately, Linda. What about you? Okay, let's see. So this is the conclusion above follows logically. Which one? You know what I'm gonna do? I mixed it. I'm going to do the I'm gonna start a new drill. I'm gonna do sufficient assumption separate and necessary separate, so I can get an idea on the sentence structure. Not the sentence structure, so I mean I can get an idea on the question structure of them. So this is sufficient assumptions, and sufficient assumption questions, it tries to make an argument more valid. So premise. So we're looking at the premise which supports another statement makes the conclusion true. So if added to the premise, it guarantees that the conclusion will be true within the sufficient assumption questions. Well, I forgot what I just read. If added to the premise, it guarantees that the conclusion will be true. Okay. The main conclusion above follows logically if which one of the following is assumed. A government ought to protect and encourage free speech because free speech is an activity that is conducive to a healthy nation, and thus, this is our conclusion, and thus it is in the best interest of its people. So we need to add something that provides additional support. Okay, let's see. The conclusion drawn by a physician follows logically. Which one of the following is assumed physicians in itself exercise does not cause heart attacks, rather a sudden increase in exercise regimen and causes when people without any physical condition. The conclusion of the argument follows logically if which one of the following is assumed. Everything that is commonplace and ordinary falls. Everything that is commonplace and ordinary fails to catch our attention. Fails to catch our attention. So there are things that fail to catch our attention, but that are your course of nature. Relation of something, relation of complex and ordinary. Conclusion of the argument follows logically if which one is assumed. Psychiatrists take any zero emotion you consider you care. Consider there are always situations in which it is healthy to try to express that emotion. So there are always situations in which it is healthy to try and express that. Which one of the following principles, if established, justifies the conclusion above? Okay. Theories generated by scientific research were used to develop several products that, although useful, damage the environment severely. Theories generated by research. So you're saying individuals who develop no, I don't think so. Could be right. I don't think so. Individuals should receive credit. Right, so blind review. Good morning. What did you guys say? King of the Weather said there's a special weather statement for parts of Texas. Okay. Thank you, J-Man. You're cute as well. Thank you so much for your kind words. Welcome. And you're so studying for the LSAT, Stu Lover Kitchen. Right now I moved on to sufficient assumption questions. So I was going through the drills. So my answers are in, my original answers. So now I'm going to go through the blind review section. Good morning, and you're so glad you can tune in. King of the Weather, that's my wrap up for the King of the Weather news report for today. Stay tuned for more information this Saturday and next Sunday. Okay, we will do that. Thank you so much for your news report, King of the Weather. We greatly appreciate it. J-Man said, how's studying going? It's going. Yeah. Okay, let's do this blind review. And feel free to keep your comments coming, guys. I will respond to it when I take a break. Break this up. The risk of a heart attack. Ow. Generated by scientific research. I see the question. Okay. Dude, because on that was the easiest difficulty. So, what do I expect? How do I see the questions, guys? I did something. I can't see the questions. What did I get? What did I click? How do I see the pin? Your answer. Okay, got that. You gotta write a blind review, right? can't even see the question. Okay, let's see. Let us see. Good morning, Fern. How are you doing today? Hello, Memphis. Are you going to church today? No. I go to church independently. I'm a person when I don't feel like I would ever be comfortable going into a church where there's an official pastor, just because I feel like pastors, they give their own interpretation of the Bible, so they are letting their own opinions and interpretations of the word of God, they're saying it to their congregation. So I feel like I'm a person, I can make my own opinions and my own assumptions regarding religion and what they mean for me. So yeah, but like if I do church, I just do it at home with my mom. When I was younger, our Sundays we would watch a lot of like religion movies, learning about the history of it from different religions and stuff like that. So yeah. What about you and your cell? Do you guys go to like a traditional church? If you do, what do you think about it? Glad you guys can tune in. Okay, so almost 10 a.m. for that session. So I did my drills. I'm going to do 2 more drills today, but I think I'm going to watch a little bit of videos. I wanted to see questions, but something happened to my questions. This was labeled as 3 difficulty. You got it right, but it was low. Let me see. 3 difficulty. This was the vision assumption questions. That's a lot to write down. I wanted to write it down, but that's a lot to write down, man. I gotta write all that down. Okay, let's go to a video. What do we have? We have logic reasoning questions. So,
in this lesson, I want to talk about another framework for understanding logical reasoning question steps. And this one is where we're grouping them by the support direction, which way the direction of support flows. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, here we have a set of question stems that I call the down set. And by down, I mean the support flows down, as it were, from the stimulus into the answer choices. Okay, I know it's not really down. The stimulus is placed to the left of the answer choices. So if you want to think about it as support flowing right, totally up to you. I just kind of prefer down because I think of the stimulus as somehow being prior to the answer choices. Okay, so anyway, let's talk about what that means. So here we have a blurred out logical reasoning question. And up here, this is what we call the stimulus. Here's the question stem, and these are the answer choices. So the question stem here is what tells us what kind of question it is. For this type of question, now let's just pretend we have a main point question. The support flows from the stimulus into the answer choices, as in everything in the stimulus you take for granted. You just assume is true. You don't question it. But you do hold everything in the answer choices suspect, right? You ask yourself, okay, based on what I read up here, does the information here support this answer choice? Right, so for main point questions, they're asking you to find the main point. So you're looking up the passage and you're just assuming everything here is true. And you're just saying, okay, well, here's the main point. And from this main point, which answer choice can I prove? Right, I'm holding all So you're looking up the passage and you're just assuming everything here is true. You're just saying, okay, well, here's the main point. And from this main point, which answer choice can I prove? Right? I'm holding all of the answers suspect, but one of them is going to be a close enough approximation to the main point such that I can pick it, right, and be comfortable with it, right? That's the sense in which the support flows down. And it's the same thing with, say, a pointed issue, agree or disagree question, right? Up in the stimulus, you can have two people talking about stuff, and let's say this is a disagreement question, right? And you have to figure out what it is that they disagree upon. When you look at the answers, for example, answer choice C, you can't just assume that, okay, yeah, C is it. If you pick C, it had better be because it receives a ton of support from the stimulus above, right? You have to use the information up in the stimulus to prove that they either agree or disagree on C, whatever the case may be. So for questions that fall into this down or rightward support bucket, you can always point back to the stimulus, right? And you can be like, okay, I'm choosing A. Why? Because I'm going to point right over here in the stimulus. This part and that part of the stimulus, together they support my choice of A. And let me just pick up on flawed method of reasoning questions for a second. It's the same thing, right? If a flawed method of reasoning question claims that the argument has confused sufficiency for necessity, for example, well, if you pick that answer choice, it had better be because you're able to point to exactly where in the stimulus that sufficiency necessity confusion took place. Okay, so just remember that for questions of this category, the support is flowing downward or rightward. Okay, you accept everything in the stimulus and then you are holding suspect the information and the answer choices. Now that's very different from what I'm calling the upward or leftward flowing questions, where the support or the impact flows up or to the left from the answer choices into the stimulus. Okay, so in this set of logical reasoning questions, you are accepting as true the information.
Phone has 20%, guys, so it's gonna die soon. But that's okay because I was gonna end the live when I started my live class at 10, so you guys can stay on and watch me do that until my phone dies or whatever.
Information where the support or the impact flows up or to the left from the answer choices into the stimulus. Okay, so in this set of logical reasoning questions, you are accepting as true the information in the answer choices. Okay, and the question stems almost always explicitly tell you to do that. They'll say something like, which one of the following, if true? And that's our instruction to not question the information in the answer choices. And once we assume all this information is true, we ask ourselves, okay, well, this information down here, if I assume it's true, does it accomplish the task that the question stem has set out, whatever the task may be it strengthen the argument above, or weaken the argument above, or identify a sufficient assumption to really strengthen the argument above, to resolve or reconcile or explain the situation above in the stimulus. Okay, in other words, does it answer the question in the question stem? Okay, so if you're picking B, let's just assume B is the correct answer. Unlike in the previous set, we're not skeptical at all of B. We just take B to be true. Whether we select B or not depends entirely on whether B affects the stimulus in the way that the question stem demands. Okay, so that's very different from the down or rightward flowing type of logical reasoning questions. All right, so this is a different framework for understanding how logical reasoning questions are related to each other. And I think this is also a useful framework. Okay, it's one that focuses on the direction of impact. Is it the stimulus that's supposed to impact or support the answer choices? Or is it the answer choices that's supposed to have the desired impact on the stimulus?
Okay, apparently, according to the seventh sage, I've gone through all of the logic, reason, and practice videos that they had. So they want me to go on to reading comprehension. I'm not ready for that. I don't want to do that. I want to try and I'm not gonna master each section. Don't have that much time for the test, but like I want to try to a solid foundation of logic, reasoning before I go to reading comprehension, because for me, and according to videos, logic, reasoning is the most learnable one. They said logic games was the most learnable section, but they took that out. So it's logic, reasoning for me. Appointment at 10. I'm going to, should I do more drills? I don't want to do too many drills right now because I know that live class they're gonna have drills. I'm gonna go to YouTube and see if they have a video I could watch about sufficient assumption questions, and I'll watch that I can't watch the whole thing through because my appointment starts at 10, but I'm gonna put my clothes to dry really quickly because I won't have time to do it later on. So let's go do that. Welcome to the live stream, guys. 17% have to play my phone as well before I start my class. Good morning, Eric. Glad you can tune in. How are you doing today? Not gonna stay up, guys. The phone's not gonna stay up. You're gonna look at it for a second. it. I just had to wash like one load of clothes today. King of the Weather said my cat is still playing with you. Oh, that's cute. It means your cat likes you. And you said it's a baby cat, so didn't they say the baby cats are more playful according to TikTok? I don't know, guys. I just heard that on TikTok once. 1 second. Okay, so we're going to watch this video
on sufficient assumption questions.
About sufficient assumption that I found on YouTube before my live class starts. And then, yeah. You had breakfast in bed? Okay, Eric, what'd you eat for breakfast?
Hi, this is Matt at LSAT Lab, and today's lesson is on sufficient assumption questions in the logical reasoning section. In this lesson, we look at how to spot a sufficient assumption question. We'll look at an example question that contains conditional reasoning, an example question that contains comparative reasoning, and we'll review the trap answer patterns that you need to know about for this question type. It's not a very common question type. Only 6% of logical reasoning questions are sufficient assumption questions, but it's one of the harder question types out there since it relies so heavily on conditional logic. So how do you spot a sufficient assumption question? Well, you're looking for language in the question stem that tells you that the answer choice is going to guarantee that the conclusion in the argument follows. So we're looking for words that indicate sufficiency, and we're looking for words that indicate an assumption. So in this case, we're looking for something that, if assumed, enables the conclusion above to be properly drawn, and that word enables tells us that it's a sufficient assumption question. Now let's try this question step. It says the conclusion above is properly drawn if which one of the following is assumed. That word if, it's hard to spot, but it tells us that we're looking at a sufficient assumption question. Let's try this one. From which one of the following does the conclusion logically follow? Well, we don't get our typical language cues, but we are looking for an answer choice that from it, the conclusion in the argument will follow logically. So it will guarantee that the conclusion is logical if we add the right answer. And so we're looking for an answer choice that's going to guarantee the conclusion. That's our task. And it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to prove a conclusion. And so that's going to limit the structures that we can use when we're working on sufficient assumption questions. So the process that we want to use, the process we want to take whenever we're working on any of the questions in the assumption family is the same. We need to find the conclusion, find the evidence for why it's true, evaluate the reasoning, meaning find the gap in the argument, figure out what's wrong with it, and use that understanding of what's wrong with the argument to anticipate what an answer could sound like. Then we look through the choices, trying to match that anticipation, using trap answer patterns to make eliminations along the way. So it's a pretty broad process, but let's put it into practice as we look at a couple of questions here today. So the reasoning structure that we really need to pay attention to when we're working on sufficient assumption questions is conditional logic. 90% of sufficient assumption questions are driven by these if-then relationships. The reason why they tend to use conditional logic is because we are trying to guarantee the conclusion follows. And because conditional logic is so mathematical, it does lend itself very nicely to these provable equations. If A, then B, if B, then C, therefore if A, then C. And if we're not comfortable using conditional logic, we need to get comfortable with it because it's going to be a really common part of the logical reasoning section and a massive part of sufficient assumption questions. So if you think of the conclusion as a journey from point A, your starting point, to point D, where you finished, then the evidence that they've given us along the way are the segments of that journey that have already been established. And the assumption is the link between them that allows that journey to be completed. So what we're looking for is the gap in the journey that we can then anticipate how to connect those terms in the right answer. So here's an example question. Go ahead and hit pause. Try this question on your own. And when...
Go ahead, pause. Try this question. second, guys. I'm gonna join this class. The class literally is starting in join. Alright guys, so I'm going to join this live class. So I'm gonna log off of the live stream now. This class is from 10 a.m. to 11:30 after I go to the gym. I may live stream when I'm at the gym for you guys. I say may because I have to wash my hair, and generally I live stream when I wash my hair. So if I don't live stream at the gym, I'm gonna live stream when I wash my hair for you guys. So thank you for tuning into this live. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and have a awesome rest of your day, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye guys, thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out some of my full-length traditional YouTube videos if you haven't already.